Elon Musk was no stranger to risk. As the man who had revolutionized electric vehicles, space travel, and brain-computer interfaces, he had staked his fortune on moonshots that others dismissed as fantasy. But what he was about to do today made launching rockets seem like child's play. The sleek black Tesla slowed to a stop 2 blocks from Mar-a-Lago, its electric motor silent in the humid Florida air. Musk checked his watch. 10:42 p.m. The Secret Service shift change would happen in exactly 8 minutes. "You sure about this?" asked the driver, a longtime SpaceX security specialist who had reluctantly agreed to this madness. Musk's expression remained unreadable behind dark sunglasses, despite the late hour. "No," he admitted, "but I'm doing it anyway." The intelligence had come from a source deep within the government, someone who claimed that President Trump had been collecting classified information on Musk companies for months, information that went far beyond normal regulatory oversight. At first, Musk had dismissed it as paranoia, but then came the unexplained security breaches at SpaceX, the strange IRS audit focusing on his personal finances, and finally the Pentagon's unexpected review of his satellite contracts. Someone was targeting him, and all signs pointed to one place. The grounds of Mar-a-Lago spread out before him, palm trees swaying gently against the night sky. Security was lighter than at the White House, but still formidable. 4 visible guards, likely twice that number unseen, and cameras covering every approach. Except one. Musk moved silently along the service path that his source had identified. A hidden vulnerability. A maintenance access point that security assessments had flagged 3 times for upgrade. But the work had never been completed. Typical government inefficiency that now played in his favor. His heart pounded against his ribs as he slipped past the first checkpoint. His borrowed maintenance uniform and fake ID badge seemingly passing muster in the camera's unblinking eye. He wasn't a trained operative, but he had something perhaps more valuable, a technologist's understanding of systems and their weaknesses. The service entrance clicked open. He was inside. The opulence of Mar-a-Lago's interior contrasted sharply with the utilitarian service corridor he now navigated. Gold fixtures gleamed softly in the low light, crystal chandeliers throwing fractured shadows across marble floors. It was empty now, the staff gone for the night, the residents quiet except for the soft hum of the climate control system. "Third door on the right past the grand staircase," his source had said. "The private office. He keeps everything there." Musk froze as footsteps echoed down a connecting hallway. He pressed himself against the wall, barely breathing. A Secret Service agent passed by an intersecting corridor, not 15 feet away, his eyes scanning methodically. For a terrifying moment, the agent paused, head tilting slightly as if sensing something amiss. Musk felt sweat beat on his forehead. Then the moment passed, and the agent continued his patrol. This was insanity. He was a businessman, an engineer, not some spy in an action thriller. Yet here he was, breaking into a former president's private residence because of what? A hunch? Evidence that only suggested but didn't confirm? If he was caught, the scandal would devastate his companies, his reputation, everything he'd built. But if the information was real, if Trump was indeed gathering classified intelligence to undermine or control him, the risk was necessary. The third door on the right, unmarked, heavy wood with brass fixtures, locked. Musk pulled out the small electronic device his security specialist had reluctantly provided. A universal keycard emulator, highly illegal and supposedly capable of bypassing most electronic locks. He held his breath as he positioned it against the card reader. 3 seconds. 5. Nothing. Then a soft click. The door eased open. Trump's private office was exactly what you'd expect, and somehow still surprising. Massive oak desk dominating the center, walls lined with photographs of the former president with celebrities and world leaders. Gold curtains, plush carpet bearing the presidential seal. Technically inappropriate for a private residence, Musk noted. Everything designed to impress, to intimidate. But Musk wasn't here for the decor. The intelligence suggested a hidden safe behind one of the photographs, specifically the oversized one of Trump shaking hands with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Tasteless, but perfect cover. Who would want to look too closely at that? Musk moved the photo aside, revealing a sleek electronic safe built into the wall. Another challenge for the emulator, this one tougher. He placed the device against the keypad and activated it. The seconds ticked by, each one increasing the risk of discovery. The emulator's screen flickered through thousands of combinations in seconds, a brute force attack against whatever password Trump had chosen. Then success. The safe door swung open. Musk reached inside expecting files, documents, perhaps a hard drive. Instead, his hand closed around a single manila folder. The label read simply, Project Sentinel. He opened the folder, the contents momentarily incomprehensible. Schematics, technical diagrams, satellite trajectories. And then understanding dawned, hitting him like a physical blow. These were SpaceX designs, but not the public ones. These were modified Starlink satellite plans showing military-grade surveillance equipment installations, designs he had never seen before, but which bore his company's classified military contract designations. "What the hell?" he whispered. More papers, financial projections showing massive payments to shell companies that appeared to be controlled by Russian oligarchs. Communications logs between his own executives and unknown contacts using code names. And worse, a detailed psychological profile of Musk himself, identifying pressure points, vulnerabilities, ways to manipulate him. He flipped through the documents, each page more disturbing than the last. This wasn't just surveillance of his companies. This was an operation, something far bigger and more sinister than he had imagined. A small electronic tablet lay beneath the papers. When Musk activated it, a video began to play, grainy security footage showing him entering secure facilities, having private conversations that he remembered clearly. Conversations that should never have been recorded. His blood ran cold. They had been watching him for months, maybe years. A noise from the hallway. Voices approaching. "Just want to grab those polling numbers before tomorrow's meeting," a voice said. A voice Musk recognized instantly. Trump. There was no time to replace everything. No time to even close the safe. Musk grabbed the folder and the tablet, looking frantically around the room. No exit except the door he'd entered through. The door that would open any second to reveal the former president and likely security personnel. The heavy curtains, it was his only option. Musk slipped behind the thick gold fabric just as the office door opened. Light flooded the room. "Told Meadows that we've got Florida locked down, but Pennsylvania is still a problem," Trump was saying to someone as they entered. "The new numbers look better after the speech in Pittsburgh," another voice replied. Through the slightest gap in the curtains, Musk could see Trump move toward the desk, accompanied by a man he didn't recognize. Neither had noticed the open safe yet. Musk's phone chose that moment to vibrate in his pocket. A text message. The sound was nearly imperceptible, but in the quiet office it might as well have been an alarm. Trump paused. "Did you hear something?" The other man looked around, eyes scanning the office. "Probably just the building settling. This place is old." Trump nodded, seemingly satisfied, but then his gaze landed on the wall where the photograph hung slightly askew, on the exposed safe with its door ajar. "What the hell?" He moved quickly toward it, face darkening. "The safe! Someone's been in here." The other man was instantly alert, hand moving to what Musk assumed was a concealed weapon. "I'll call security." "Wait," Trump ordered, examining the safe more closely. "Project Sentinel. It's gone." The other man froze. All of it. The main folder, the tablet. Someone took them. The tension in the room was palpable as Trump's eyes narrowed, scanning the office. They could still be here. Musk pressed himself deeper into the shadows behind the curtain, clutching the stolen documents to his chest. His heart was pounding so loudly he was certain they could hear it. The game was up. In moments, they would search the room and find him. His mind raced through scenarios, each one ending with him in handcuffs, his reputation destroyed, his companies in freefall. Trump took a step toward the curtains. A sharp knock at the office door broke the tension. "Mr. President," a Secret Service agent's voice, "we have an urgent call from Senator Graham. He says it's about the Supreme Court nomination." Trump hesitated, clearly torn between investigating the breach and taking the call. "Secure the building," he ordered the other man. "Full lockdown. Nobody in or out. I want whoever did this found tonight. Yes, sir. Trump strode to the door, his face a mask of barely controlled fury. I'll take the call in the secure room. Join me there after you alert security. The door closed behind them. Musk remained frozen for several seconds, hardly daring to breathe. Then he heard the unmistakable sound of an alarm being activated. A lockdown, just as Trump had ordered. He had minutes, perhaps seconds, before guards would return to search the office thoroughly. The window. It was his only option. They were on the second floor, not an ideal escape route, but better than certain capture. He moved quickly from behind the curtain, unlocked the window and pushed it open. Hot, humid Florida air rushed in. Below he could see manicured gardens, a pathway, and beyond that, the boundary wall. If he could make it that far... Voices in the hallway, getting closer. Musk tucked the folder and tablet into his shirt, climbed onto the windowsill, and jumped. The impact sent pain shooting through his ankles and knees, but nothing seemed broken. He rolled to absorb the shock, years-old judo training coming back to him. No time to recover. He pushed himself up and ran, keeping low, using ornamental shrubs for cover. Behind him, shouts erupted from the open window. He'd been seen. Floodlights suddenly illuminated the gardens, turning night to day. Musk dove behind a stone statue just as guards appeared on the pathways ahead. He was trapped between the building and approaching security. The boundary wall was 30 yards away, an impossible distance to cover without being spotted. But giving up wasn't an option, not with what he now knew. Project Sentinel wasn't just surveillance of his companies. The documents revealed a conspiracy that stretched beyond Trump, beyond American borders even. A plan to use modified Starlink satellites as weapons platforms, controllable by foreign entities who had bankrolled the operation. His technology, perverted into something he had always refused to build, with his unwitting signature providing legal cover. They had been using him, planning to frame him if the plot was discovered. The perfect fall guy. A guard moved closer to his hiding spot, radio crackling with instructions. Suspect believed to be on the south grounds. Armed and dangerous. Shoot if necessary. Armed, they were already building the narrative to justify whatever happened next. A distraction. He needed a distraction. Musk fumbled in his pocket and found his car keys. The Tesla was equipped with a remote summon feature, a feature that had drawn regulatory scrutiny, but which might now save his life. He opened the app on his phone, hands shaking slightly, and activated the summon function. Somewhere beyond the walls, his Tesla would be starting up, navigating itself toward his GPS location. It wouldn't get through the gates, but it might create enough chaos to help him escape. Within 30 seconds, shouts erupted from the front entrance. The diversion was working. Guards began running toward the commotion, leaving a gap in their perimeter. Now or never. Musk sprinted for the wall, no longer concerned with staying hidden. Speed was all that mattered now. He reached the stone barrier, adrenaline giving him strength as he leaped, fingers grasping the top edge. He pulled himself up and over, landing hard on the other side just as a guard spotted him. Stop! Security breach on the south wall. But Musk was already running, the stolen documents secure against his chest, the weight of what he'd discovered even heavier. The next 12 hours passed in a blur, a predefined extraction plan, a private jet, secure communications with trusted allies. By dawn, Musk was thousands of miles away, hunched over the documents in a secured room with two of his most trusted engineers and his chief legal counsel. I don't even have word, said the lawyer, face pale as he examined the evidence of the conspiracy. They've created an entire paper trail, making it look like you authorized these modifications. The satellite designs aren't just surveillance, said one of the engineers, pointing to a schematic. This is weapons capability, directed energy systems that could target anywhere on Earth. If these were deployed across the Starlink constellation, global strike capability with no defense, Musk finished the thought, controllable by whoever holds these access codes. Which, according to these documents, the lawyer said grimly, would be routed through servers in Moscow and Beijing. Musk ran a hand through his disheveled hair. So Trump was working with Russia and China to weaponize my satellites, making it look like I was the one who built and sold them the system. And if anything went wrong, all evidence would point to you. The lawyer nodded. The perfect patsy. We need to go public, Musk said, decision made. All of it, immediately. The lawyer looked alarmed. Elon, this is explosive. We're talking about a former president conspiring with foreign adversaries. The blowback will be, the blowback if these systems are deployed will be worse. Musk cut him off. Much worse. 24 hours later, Elon Musk sat before a hastily assembled press conference, the world's media hanging on his every word. Behind him, large screens displayed redacted versions of the documents, enough to prove the conspiracy while protecting truly sensitive information. What I discovered in Donald Trump's private safe at Mar-a-Lago was evidence of a plot that threatens not just my companies, but global security, he began, his voice steady despite his exhaustion. A plan to convert civilian satellite infrastructure into weapons platforms, controllable by foreign powers, all while creating a paper trail that would implicate me if discovered. Reporters shouted questions, cameras flashed, social media exploded. Within minutes, the story was trending globally. I am providing all evidence to appropriate authorities and congressional committees, Musk continued. I expect full investigations to be launched immediately. As he spoke, news was already breaking that FBI agents were descending on Mar-a-Lago with search warrants. Trump was releasing furious denials, claiming the documents were planted, that Musk was delusional, that this was all a publicity stunt for Tesla's stock price. But the evidence was irrefutable. Project Sentinel was real, the conspiracy was real, and the world would never be the same. In the months that followed, the full scope of the conspiracy unraveled like a global game of Jenga. High-ranking officials resigned. Indictments were issued. International tensions escalated as the foreign connections were exposed. For Elon Musk, the vindication came at a cost. Security around him was now permanent and heavy. His companies faced intense scrutiny, though ultimately they emerged stronger for having been unwitting pawns rather than willing participants. The last piece of the puzzle fell into place during congressional testimony from a former intelligence official who had been part of the operation. Project Sentinel was always about control, the official testified. Control of global communications, control of weapon systems that could strike anywhere with no warning, and ultimately, control of Elon Musk himself. His technologies had simply become too powerful to leave in the hands of someone who couldn't be controlled. When asked why they had targeted Musk specifically, the answer sent chills through the hearing room. Because his satellites were already there. Because his reputation as an unpredictable maverick made him the perfect scapegoat. But mostly because of what he was working on next. The quantum encryption system that would have made this type of hijacking impossible. They had to move before he deployed it. The world had come dangerously close to a silent coup of global technological infrastructure, and it had been stopped by one man's decision to risk everything to uncover the truth. In his first interview after the dust had begun to settle, Musk was asked if he regretted his decision to break into Mar-a-Lago that night. Regret it, he replied, the hint of a tired smile crossing his face. Number. But I don't recommend it as a business strategy. Breaking and entering is still illegal, even when you stumble onto a conspiracy. The interviewer leaned forward. Would you do it again, knowing the risks? Musk's expression turned serious. To protect my companies, my technologies, from being weaponized against humanity? He paused. In a heartbeat. The world had indeed been shocked by what Elon Musk discovered that night in Donald Trump's secret office. But perhaps the greater shock was the reminder of how fragile our systems really are, and how sometimes finding the truth requires breaking the rules.